Welcome to Tentative Title with Tim. This is a podcast about creativity, about process, about filmmaking, and about screenwriting. Hey, welcome back to the podcast. So it's summertime, and that means going to the movie theater, hopefully, to see a big blockbuster. Hopefully that means going to the pool or going camping, just getting outside. We've been inside for most of 2020 and 2021. I'm sure a lot of places we've still been inside more than we should be. But with that comes movies about summertime. And there are a few that come to mind that I try to watch every summer. And one of them I wanted to talk about today. Now, this movie I saw when it came out back in 1994, I think it was. I should look it up. But at the time, I wanted to be a baseball player. Like, I was committed to training and getting on a team, and just I wanted to be a baseball player. And this was before I even had any thought of being an actor, of being a director, of doing any kind of screenwriting. Like, for me, I was just watching movies because I was a fan. I was watching them because they were cool. I was watching them because they were action stars and there were good stories, and just I was there to enjoy what Hollywood was making. So what movie am I talking about? Well, I'm talking about The Sandlot. This movie just captivated my imagination as a young kid who wanted to be a baseball player. Like, there's this character, Benny, and he is a great baseball player, at least when we meet him. And watching him be great at what he loved, and the fact that he would practice nonstop, was very inspirational to me. Like, I wanted to be like him, which is why the character was written. Quite frankly, you want to be like this character. But there's also this other character, Smalls, who moves into town, and he is more of an egghead. He likes science. He's an indoor kind of kid, and he doesn't know anybody. And he sees Benny, who is his neighbor. And, they have like this moment where they kind of look at each other, and, you can tell that, like, since Benny is running a team that needs one more player, that Smalls is going to be the one that he's going to pick, that he's going to recruit, which he eventually does after Smalls follows him to the Sandlot, and he sees him and all the other teammates and how they're just playing this nonstop game of baseball. And it just captivated my imagination. I was just like, wow, I would love to play an endless game of baseball. Life is not like that. I even at the time I was like, I don't think I could find, even the friends that I had, I was like, I don't think they would spend every waking moment playing baseball. Like, they got things to do. They have their own priorities. Like, I don't think this could happen the way it is in the movies, which, like, nothing really happens the way it is in the movies. But when you're young, you kind of, like, imagine, like, oh, what if, like that would be really cool. So anyway, like, watching it again was just such a treat. Like, there were things that I saw in this viewing that I hadn't seen ever. And I like to do this, I don't know if it's necessarily a a conscious thing that I do, but I know it's something I like to try to do, which is to forget movies. I like to be able to walk away from a movie and not watch it for a while, and then come back to it with fresh eyes and be able to watch it again as if I've never seen it, because then it'll be mostly a surprise because I've just forgotten what happens in the movie. And that's almost impossible to do, because once you start watching it, you start putting it together and you start remembering things. But sometimes I'll put on a movie I haven't seen in a very long time, and even if a very long time is like a year, because like it sometimes with Christmas movies, I know that I watched it last Christmas and we go to watch it again, and I legitimately have forgotten like what happens, and I'm able to go on that journey with the characters again and see it as if I saw it for the first time. And I love that feeling. And this was the kind of feeling I had watching The Sandlot this time. Like, obviously, I'd seen the movie hundreds of times, and I knew kind of what was happening, and I could remember certain scenes, but I was just on the journey with these characters, and I was in the moments with them. And there's so much comedy in this film, and there's so many moments where it's awkward, but it's like it's funny, and just I was laughing hysterically at some of these moments, especially where Smalls is trying to learn how to play baseball and he is failing, like to the point where he doesn't know how to throw the ball, so he has to actually run it in from the outfield, where he's trying to catch the ball, but he doesn't know how, or he's so awkward and doesn't know how to. Just doesn't know how to do it. And if anything, that's a great arc for this character, because you see him at the beginning where he doesn't have any skills, and then by the end, he's developed into a pretty competent baseball player. He's learned how to catch and throw a ball. He's learned how to hit. He's gained more confidence in being able to play the game. And it's great to just go on this journey with him as he's learning how to do it, as well as going on this journey with all the other guys, that are at the Sandlot, and with Benny, and just being able to just go on the journey, basically. So I also noticed something that was really very cool about at least like the genres, because there's comedy, obviously. It's a period piece, so there's some like drama, but it's not too heavy-handed. And there's also a horror aspect, which I knew about, but I didn't identify it as a horror, like as them tapping into the horror genre. And it was just so fun to kind of recognize that that's what they were doing. And because they're at the Sandlot. It's this ratty baseball field that's in the middle of a neighborhood, and so there are fences, and beyond one of the fences is a dog that all the kids are afraid of. And so every single time they hit a baseball over that fence, they're like, the game's done. We're not gonna go try to retrieve this ball because that dog's going to kill somebody. In fact, we have our own legend about how this dog is huge and already killed a kid like some years back. So that is kind of built into this narrative of the guys kind of learning about their own kind of like the way in which their own myths can mislead them, and in fact there's some pretty comedic jokes about how like the simplest thing they could have done was just to go knock on the neighbor's door to retrieve the ball. Like, it was not a big thing, And in fact, there's a whole sequence where they're trying to get back this very specific ball. And they try all these different contraptions and all these different methods of trying to get it back. And the dog just like comes in and destroys all of it. And it just plays into like their mounting fear about, this beast, as they call it. And it's great. It's great fun. Like I said, there's that horror element. There's even a part that I never realized before. And in fact, I had to turn to my wife after we saw this moment, because one of the characters breaks the fourth wall. He like talks directly to the audience, and it's like, wow, I never noticed that before. And like I turned to my wife, I was like, did you ever notice that? And she was like, no. And I'm like, wow, that was interesting. Like I just didn't realize that like they're also breaking the fourth wall at a certain point. So it's just, this movie is so much fun. It's so much Americana. It takes place right before the Vietnam War, like a couple years before that. So there's no sense of this doubt in systems and in governments. Like everything feels very innocent, and these kids are there just to play baseball. Like they love the game so much that they're playing this, and they show up every day and play from sun up to sundown, and they never keep score. And it's just, they're there because they love it. And it's such a positive and hopeful film that also plays into this idea that I didn't identify until watching it this time, where belief is a very strong, potent trait to have. And it they kind of play out that theme with like the dog. They believe that the dog is like this huge beast that's going to kill them, and every single baseball they knock over the fence is it just disappears. But also like the faith and belief in like heroes, because all the characters idolize Babe Ruth. And there's even a scene where one of the characters dreams of that Babe Ruth shows up and gives him a piece of advice about how to get this specific ball back from the beast. And just the way in which like they idolized this baseball player so much that you could tell that every single one of them was playing because they wanted to be just as good. They believed in their heroes. They believed in the legend of Babe Ruth, and so that and it was like an unwavering belief. Like they all, if you were able to ask those characters, who is the greatest baseball player of all time? Like they were like, without a doubt, it's Babe Ruth, and there's nobody else who's gonna top that. Just the firm belief in that. But also like the belief in just everyday items. Like one of the characters has a box of these specific tennis shoes that have been marketed to make you run faster. And so just watching that, I was just like, oh yeah, like I actually think that this was a real thing that they marketed to kids back in the day, where it's like, buy these shoes, it'll make you run faster. And I do remember seeing commercials of tennis shoes where it's just like, yeah, these shoes will make you jump higher. They're like all these traits that you wanted to have, as somebody who wanted to be in sports. Just like you always wanted to be a part of that. You always wanted to have the upper hand, the tool to make you a better athlete. And it's just it was great. But but overall, it's like the theme of belief and the theme of like of heroes, overcoming these grand odds, even though it's just a baseball game, even though it's just like hitting a ball, for a home run. It's just like it was a very very simple, very like reminiscent of the time. At least like I didn't grow up then. I'm just guessing that like, it sounded like things were pretty positive before the Vietnam War. And then when, that's kind of when the whole suspicion of governments really started to take hold, because like so much bad was happening. It's just like, what is our government doing in a foreign land in Vietnam? Like what? No, we can't believe in this anymore. We can't believe that what we're doing is good, and so like it kind of takes you back to that time a little bit about, how it felt to like fully believe in something and to be unwavering about it, and how that actually kind of like it improved your life. It improved what you accomplished. It improved like the idea of the American dream of being able to, like, not to pull yourself up by your bootstraps thing, because that's I don't really speaking of belief, I don't really believe much in that saying, but being able to having the belief that you can accomplish things, having the belief that whatever it is that you set out to do, that you can accomplish it. You can, if you work hard enough, if you are, committed enough, if you do all these things, that like you will make it to a place that is better than where you are now. And I still believe in that. I still think that like you have to put in the work. Even though there's so many times when you see people who are successful and you're like, I don't know if they got there because they were any good. Like, who did they know? How much money did they have to buy their way in? Like there's so much to be skeptical about, but at least in terms of your own life, like knowing that whatever you accomplish, it's because of something that you've been preparing for your entire life. Like that is the most fulfilling way to live your life, is to know that you put in the work, and that when you achieve something, that it's because of that work. It's because of like, and also like if you achieve something, for a fact that you'll have a better chance of being able to hold on to it, as opposed to somebody who's just kind of given it, or, they know somebody, because that person who may have gotten it easy, they may hold on to it for a little while, but there will come a time when like they're going to need that, whatever talent they have, to hold on to it. And we see it all the time, that like people who don't know what they're doing, or don't know, like when they finally get revealed for the kind of talent that they actually have, it's kind of like the rug's pulled out from underneath them. And so I don't want to be one of those people. I want to be somebody who is striving and working and wanting to improve constantly. And watching movies like this, like there's this hopefulness. There's this idealism about working hard, about having a team that you're bringing together, that everybody becomes better because of the other people on that team, and really just like like nobody's alone. Everybody is like striving for something, and you're striving together, and you're all rising together. It's like, it's great to see stories like that. Like we need more stories like that. And I don't know what happened. I guess like, media got tired of being positive, of being like optimistic. Maybe it was seen as corny at a certain point, because there's so much bad happening in the world. It was like, how can we have stories that are positive when, like, we're not going to fill each other's brains with like this muck of positivity, because that's not what the world actually is. But you kind of have to believe in something. You're not going to be able to do anything if you don't believe. If you don't believe in something. And I'm not saying it has to be like some kind of God or some kind of like, just believe in something. Just believe that you can do it. Just, believe that your efforts are going to lead to something positive. And if you work hard enough, you'll be able to get there. That's a baseline. That's just that's it. And the more we see stories like that, the more we kind of can come back to that idea that nothing is handed to you. Like you have to work for it, and you have to work for it to hold on to it. And like I said, I appreciate stories like that. I really need to like get to the drawing board and start making stories like that, and start finding ways that I can take these story traits, these storylines, and to really incorporate them into my own work, because it was nice to be able to walk out of a movie theater and feel good about what I just saw, and to kind of feel kind of affirmed about humanity and about the idea that there is a future out there that I can be a part of, or that that there's a future in general, like that there are people who are out there who are for humanity, who want to see everybody thrive, who want to see everybody do their best, and to not give up, and to not settle, like to not settle for like the mediocre, just to it's like, you've reached this certain bar, that's great. Now the next time, hit it 2 bars above that, and 2 bars above that. Just like keep striving, keep doing better, keep challenging yourself. Like, well, what's the point of doing creative things if you don't do those things? And what's the point of doing anything if you don't kind of like strive to do better the next time? Like, that's what I love about these movies. They just kind of like reaffirm that feeling, that idea that we need to. That we can accomplish things, and we can accomplish things if we try, and we can accomplish things with a team, So anyway, guys, I'm all fired up about this movie. I've loved it since I saw it in the movie theater, and I'm just like, I just want to keep coming back to this film. If you love it too, let me know. If you have other films that you want to recommend that I watch, I'm all ears. I want to hear from you guys. I want to start a conversation about like what movies do you appreciate? What stories do you like? What's going on with you? What topics do you want to hear me talk about? Guys. That's all I got for today. So I will talk to you on the next one. And also, if you want to connect with me, I have a email for the podcast. It's tentative.title.with.tim.podcast@gmail.com. Also, I have a Twitter account for the podcast where I post episodes, and that is @title_Tim. And you can find also on the Facebook page, I have a page for the podcast, so you can connect with me there. Looking forward to hearing from all of you, and until then, I'll catch you on the next one.